Don't worry, sweetheart. When the time comes, you'll be put to rest.
Ruth was 22 years old when she dropped out of college and changed states due to financial constraints. She was formerly from a well-to-do family, but her father's financial mismanagement cost them a lot. They moved to a state where the cost of living was more affordable, and Ruth did all sorts of odd jobs to take care of herself. She wasn't much of an academic person, and neither was she good at business. She preferred to live in luxury without having to stress herself, but unfortunately for her, circumstances made her work. Typical example of na condition dey make crayfish bend. One fateful evening, when she was by the roadside selling roasted corn, one of her university acquaintances spotted her from afar and called out to her. That voice, Ruth could still recall it. It was the girl that helped her in assignments and providing answers during exams. Even though they weren't friends back then, Nina was that coded guru she relied on. Her mood lit up immediately she saw her and they embraced each other. Ruth, however, started to feel embarrassed about how she was looking when she saw how gorgeous and well-dressed Nina looked. Her skin. One could tell she used an expensive cream because what in the flawless skin was that? She smelled like vanilla and her body felt so soft. Her hair. Even though she couldn't touch it to avoid behaving like a local girl, Ruth could tell the price was more than 10 years of her corn business profits. After exchanging pleasantries, Ruth escorted Nina to her car and she wrote down her number and house address on a piece of paper before leaving. She asked Ruth to look for her when she could because they had a lot of catching up to do. Before Ruth fell asleep, she had a reflection about her encounter with Nina.
Omo, is this what life has taken away from me? See the kind of things my mate has, but to buy common thrift clothes is a struggle for me. I need to look for how my life will change. I'm tired of surviving. I'll do anything to get out of here.
She worked tirelessly for weeks to gather money for transportation, clothes, and a nice pair of slippers. She couldn't afford to look like her condition. The day finally came for her to go into town. Being able to do that was like celebrating the new year. Nina welcomed her, and Ruth couldn't hide her astonishment. Even if she was ever to guess, she wouldn't have ever thought this was the kind of house Nina had. They later went to the living room and started talking casually about how life had been for each of them. Nina promised to help Ruth and told her all that would happen, but she needed to think about it and then get back to her. Later that night, Ruth thought deeply about the situation. She desperately needed to leave, but was frightened by what Nina told her. Did she truly want to embark on this journey? She had to be all in how long? If Nina, one of the gurus in class, found it difficult to get a legit job, what was left for her in this world? She never slept with men for money, but what did she gain from the so-called love? After giving them her loyalty, they left her broken. It was her turn to shine too, and she wasn't going back on her word. After some days, she told her parents about getting a job in town and would make sure she supported them in any way that she could. They blessed her and bid their goodbyes. On arrival, Nina and Ruth went to the market to buy 3 chickens and a goat before starting their journey to a faraway village to meet the native doctor. Nina praised him when they met, then told him about Ruth, and he asked her to bring the necessary things needed, which were 3 chickens, a male goat, and an item she possessed. Ruth gave him 2 bead anklets she was already wearing. Then he performed the rituals and incantations and told her to wear her anklets anytime she wanted favor and also renew her contract once a year. Ruth was surprised about how easy everything went and was relieved. She didn't know what to expect, but it wasn't as difficult as she had imagined. They arrived at Nina's place and Nina told her she could stay with her till she was up on her feet. What a time to be alive. Life was starting to make sense and she could afford to get her own apartment in just a matter of a few months. Men of middle to high status toasted her anytime she went out and she enjoyed every bit of it. She went for parties and events only a certain level of class could go for, and traveled to countries she had never been to in her life. Life felt too good to be real. Getting what she wanted came like water. She and Nini grew very close as time passed, and for the first time in years, she started to feel like she had a true sister. Aside doing their separate things to make money, they also had ladies' time a lot. Life was going better than Ruth ever thought over the years, not until she started falling sick more often. After treating herself on several occasions, she decided to go for a HIV/AIDS test and was HIV positive. A devastating news. Ruth cried for days, but crying wouldn't solve her problem. So she confided in Nina and she promised to be there for her. But after some time, their friendship started to grow cold. Most of the money she had went on treatments to maintain herself, and it started to affect her lifestyle gradually. There was a decline in admiration from men, and with time, Ruth became bankrupt. All the so called friends she made when she was living life deserted her and Nina. Someone she thought was her sister didn't want to have anything to do with her completely. In a blink of an eye, her life turned upside down. She thought of going back home, but what was she going to say to her aged parents that were depending on her? She was maintaining herself in the little way that she could, but the expenses were taking a toll on her. Nothing was working for her anymore. Ruth was not someone you could call a religious person, but one night, she decided to say a quick prayer to God. That night, she had a dream about being chained, and all around her were skeletons. She was weak to break free anytime she tried to. After she woke up, she thought about it. She knew going back to the native doctor would be a foolish thing to do because she was aware about all these spiritual things from school, church, a place she can't remember when last she stepped her foot in. The next day, she went to a man of God she heard about, and as soon as he saw her, he looked at her like he had seen her before. She confessed everything to him, and he told her a girl she took as a sister wants to destroy her life. She comes to people as a sweet soul and a helper, but that was her way of luring her praise. He prayed over her and delivered her, then told her she needed to let go of loving the things of the world and walk earnestly instead. Unfortunately, Ruth had to live with the ailment for the rest of her life, even though she was redeemed from the spiritual bondage. Ruth started to change her life and worked on her spiritual life. She got a job as a salesgirl in a clothing store in town, and that was what kept her going. After some months, rumors spread about Nina running away and leaving her house empty. Deep down, Ruth felt bad for her, but there was nothing she could do. Besides, she had forgiven her and started a new life. In life, it's good to be content with what you have. Even if you want to achieve more to have a better life, do it the right way. It may not pay off as soon as you want it to, but no genuine effort ever goes unnoticed under the heavens. Thank you for reaching the end of this video. Please like and subscribe for more stories inspired by true events and hearsays. Your thoughts and advices may encourage someone in the comments. See you in our next story.